Professor R.P. Singh, Professor, Center for Philosophy, School of Social Sciences, Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi. And he is the first speaker of this session. Sir, mic is handed over to you now.
Thank you very much and good evening to everybody. So it's indeed a great pleasure for me to participate in this wonderful seminar, Post-Independence Indian Philosophy, organized by the Department of Philosophy and Religion, Banaras Hindu University, and good friend of mine, Professor Anand Mishra, and some of my former students like Dr. Rahul, Priyanka, and others. They are all instrumental to organizing this session. And I'm also happy to see my very dear friend, Professor Panir Silvam, in the session. And namaste. And since the time is the constraint and we are already running too late, so without much ado, I'll just come to the main discussion of it. So the theme which I have chosen is the realm between transcendent and immanent, K. Satchidananda Murty's Vedantic perspective. I would like to first clarify two issues and then I'll move further. First thing is that post-independence India is the continuity of the contemporary India, which itself is the continuity of the medieval and also of the ancient Indian philosophy. So there has been no rupture or break into it, but some of the issues which have been highlighted are of specific importance, and this is where I place the independence Indian philosophy. This is one submission. Second thing is that I have little reservation saying Indian philosophy. I think I should say philosophies in India. There are various philosophical traditions which have emerged and developed in India, and that is a very remarkable feature. The plurality is something which is very remarkable about Indian philosophy, and post-independence India is no exception. It was there in the contemporary Indian philosophy, in the medieval philosophy, and also in the Vedas and the Upanishads. There also we find all these things happening. Yet another little clarification is that like the contemporary Indian philosophy, post-independence Indian philosophers, barring a few exceptions to some of the philosophers, mostly everybody believes it is Western philosophy also. So, and whereas in the West, when modernity came or so-called post-modernity started coming up, they started repudiating the past. In India, there has been a revival and revitalization of it. The contemporary trend, the comparative philosophy, is something which is at the backbone of the post-independence India. Most of the philosophers whom I have studied with, and they all were doing some comparative philosophy or the other, and Professor K. Satchidananda. So with these few clarifications, let me just come to Professor K. Satchidananda Murty. And we all know that he was, almost, the last 5-6 decades of Indian philosophy goes much to his, credit, goes much to his credit. And he has an all-comprehensive scholarship and intellectual vision. He dealt with most of the themes on consciousness and values, including epistemological questions. And also he raised not only epistemological questions which were raised not only by the Indian philosophers, but also, from the West, like Kant, Hegel, Marx, Feuerbach, they all were, in his philosophy. The book I have chosen is The Realm Between, on which I'm basically trying to focus on. And the book, it begins with suffering, kind of an attempt. That suffering is some kind of a reality, and we all have to make some kind of a reflection or the other on it. So what I have attempted to develop Murty's quest is to articulate suffering, and later on, this term finds its expression in nuanced manner in Marx, known as alienation, or estrangement in Hegel, or reification, and various are there. And not only suffering and alienation, but also emancipation from the philosophical journey especially with reference to Upanishads, Buddhism, etc. on the one hand, and on the other, Kant, Hegel, Feuerbach, and Marx, as studied in the realm between. So these were the lectures which he has given on the philosophy of religion. The term realm between has been borrowed from Heidegger's the realm in between. There's a term he has used in Being and Time, the realm in between. But the the contextualities are quite different one. In fact, Professor Murty has contextualized it in a different manner. The book has been divided into various chapters, various issues are there. But what Professor Murty is suggesting is that he has taken up, uh, from a quotation from Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, and the details are, there. So, which is rendered in English by the author as standing in intermediate condition. One sees both these conditions, namely being in the world and being in the other world. This is the kind of, a new thing, new vision he has taken. Though it is deeply rooted in vision itself, but he was trying to re-articulate it in a certain manner. Thus, the realm between falls in the juncture, it is called Ubhay Asthane, Sandhi Asthane, and the immanent and as well as the transcendent. In addition to this, in a situation like this, one is able to see both the evils and the joys in the works of Murty. The purport of the text is, it is possible for mind to become aware of both immanence and transcendence, of evil and the good, of suffering and delight. It is curious that Professor Murty chose to reflect on one of the pairs only, that is suffering, suffering and suffering, and since that seems to lie on the side of the middle, that is immense, to get connected in an intermediate way. And throughout the book, this intimate relation appears to him to form the backbone of the discourse. So the chapters, in fact, they begin with this kind of a statement, Buddha saying that there is suffering and that there is a cessation of suffering and there is a method of getting rid of this suffering. Now here, standing in the middle of two things, what Professor Murty has done, he has taken up little bit help from Immanuel Kant. And Murty has taken into comprehensive account of the three critiques of Immanuel Kant. The critique of pure reason, he writes that the defining appearance as everything that cannot be apprehended through space and time, Kant states that the concept of appearance establishes the objective reality of phenomena and justifies the division of objects into phenomena and noumena. So that means there is something beyond phenomena also, and that is nominal entities. So the way we understand it in Vedantic tradition, Vyavaharik Sat and the Paramarthik Sat. And humanity is something which is, standing between them, between Vyavaharik and the Paramarthik Sat. At one place, Kant says that as things are conditioned, they do involve the idea of the unconditioned. This again is something which we find even in Vedanta also, that if everything is changing, then there is something in us which is not changing. And that basically taking up the antakarana, mana buddhi, manas buddhi, ahankar, pragya, chitta, and then coming to the sachin, the witness aspect, is something which is not changing, which Kant also has it in terms of I think level consciousness, not I am level consciousness. The way Descartes has said that I think, therefore I am. And Kant says that no, I think level consciousness is possible, but not the I am. Because existence has been used in very many ways, by Descartes. For him, mind exists because of thinking, body exists because of extension, God exists because of perfection, absolute perfection. So with one category, he is trying to, articulate the three different entities. And that's something which is very remarkable. And that this idea is flawless and crown and completion of all human knowledge. The distinction between phenomena and noumena, between this world and the other world, by Vyavharik and Paramarthik, this is how philosophy has tried to develop itself. Not the way dichotomizing it, because the difference between Vyavharik and Paramarthik is the difference of degrees only, not of the kinds. In Kant, it becomes a kind of, different in terms of kind, because he did not have the intellectual intuition, which is available for Shankara in Vedantic tradition, and Murty has also acknowledged it. Now, there are other details regarding the critique of practical reason also, and the critique of judgment. About the practical reason, the second critique, Kant does not in any way contradict the conclusion of the first critique. Most people think that there is a contradiction between the first critique and the second critique. But when Kant wrote the first critique, he realized that this text is very incomplete. And he was already started preparing to write the second critique. And before he could have written the second critique, he wrote that answer to the question, what is enlightenment? That was the bridging gap between pure practical reason and the pure reason, kind of a thing. So the first critique, we cannot have any knowledge of God. So the knowledge of God is denied here. The faith element has to come up. The moral law is universal, either because we are conscious of it a priori, or because freedom of which we are conscious is deducible from the moral law alone, and this serves to prove that law. Kant expresses both these views. The moral law directly points to the nominal world, but does not give any knowledge of it. So between knowledge and faith, there comes a kind of, gulf, unbridgeable gulf. So freedom, God, and immortality have to be presupposed. They cannot be established, through any kind of observation or any kind of, things like that, knowledge element kind of a thing. And the same issue is developed even in the critique of judgment, the third critique, of which I am not able to go. But there is, if there is suffering in Buddhism, with which Murty had started, he found that there is alienation in the Western philosophy also. It was there in Hegel, it was there in Marx, even Kant also has it. So this is something very remarkable with the course of Murty, that he takes Kant also as the originator of the notion of alienation in modern times. And the reason he has given is that the idea of perfection, of which Immanuel Kant talks about in his moral philosophy, the goodwill, is something where we find that alienation is there, because you already have some kind of an idea which is absolutely perfect, and now it remains constant in and around which you have to evaluate everything else. So on alienation, one of the fundamental.
Please
One of,
it's a very late session, and 5 professors have to present their papers. So I will request you to, sir, conclude very soon.
so how much time do you give me? Another 2 minutes, 3 minutes?
2 minutes.
All right. So this idea of alienation, which humanity has always been alienated, is the idea of the perfection. From all historical epochs and everywhere else, he finds that humanity has always been alienated from this idea of perfection. Though Marx has taken up, some other arguments, and so many other things are there. So he also has gone into comprehensive account of Hegel's idea of alienation between master-slave dialectics, and I cannot go into the details of it. But one issue is something which struck to my mind when I was reading the book, that I'll between, is that after he had discussed Hegel, so what he does, Professor Murty, he discusses Marx, and he takes up Feuerbach later on, because that way he is violating the chronology of it. So most of the readers, they have to look at it, that the chronology should not be violated. The notion of absolute has been, and with this I'll just finish, that the notion of absolute has been, constantly preoccupied in Professor Murthy's arguments and articulations. And this can be understood either in the cosmological sense of the term, or the psychological or theological way. And all the three streams are available in the comprehensive account of philosophy. So I think I should stop. There are very many philosophers who are there. I'll be there to listen to them. And if there's any question, answer in the chat bot and all, if I get opportunity, I'll address. Thank you, Professor Tiwari, for giving
Thank
me
you,
this
sir. Thank you
opportunity.
so much.